would like to tell you before starting, something before starting. The best way to avoid embarrassing questions is to be the last late speaker. Yeah. Well, the title actually of my talk, if it's a talk, was What a Child of this Century Should Know About the Origin and the Evolution of Man. The very first title of this symposium actually was Children Facing Tomorrow, and I must say that I liked it very much. It is because I'm giving from time to time talks in schools, which means opportunities to meet children of different levels, that I had the idea to talk to you about what they should know about the universe, the solar system, the Earth, life, and man. It is something easy and fast to tell, and consequently to learn. And this scientific way to teach human genesis would give to the children large enough space to think about and try to better understand what is man, where he stands, why he is like he is, what has been yesterday and what could be tomorrow. And I'm sorry to say that most of the time, wherever it is, their professors are not giving them any idea about the depth of time, the antiquity of man, his specificity, ethics, for instance, and the keys to wait today and to anticipate tomorrow, except Ross School and Institute and School Ross Institute, and I have been witness of that. Well, I will briefly, cannot do something else, briefly list the logic succession of data that the children should have to think about. Man is a living being, which means that his history is a part of the history of life, which is a part of history of the Earth, which is a part of the history of the universe. As soon as this obvious, simple statement, the frame is drawn, and I'm not sure that such evidence is clearly established in our children's minds. It gave, in one sentence, the true dimension of the question of our origin. If you add that, as far as we currently know, the first perception, and not the origin, of universe has been dated around 14 billion years. You have fixed the limits of what you would tell, and the limits inside which your children have to think. But as we say, science is not a statement, so you have to give a demonstration of this data. Then you can give some description of the sky. Sky is always marvelous, always mysterious. You can talk about galaxies where stars are produced, and stars are like us. They are appearing, living, and disappearing. They have birth, life, and death, which is also an interesting matter of thought, especially after having told the children that the sun, our sun, is a star. You may laugh about these statements, but my progression, I can tell you that according to my experience, all this evidence for you are most of the time not at all evidences for children, whatever country they are from, And it is only because these sorts of data are not in the Scholar program, they are exceptional, but unfortunately, usually it is like that, except again in Ross schools. Thank you, Courtney. You should then introduce the Milky Way and the birth of the sun, of the solar system of the Earth, 4.6 billion years old. This is an important second figure that the children should engrave in their memory, and it's not easy, I must say, to figure out what such a figure could mean. You have absolutely to describe at that level an Earth completely naked, without gas and without water, but tell immediately to the children the fact that gas coming from the Earth itself, as well as from other objects falling on the surface of our planet, as well as water coming mostly from comets, are in about 500 million years, bringing to our Earth her atmosphere and her oceans. The imagination of children is strong enough to visualize the Earth empty, only mineral, and then the Earth with air and water. 500 million years to do that is less easy to catch. Then the great chapter of life is coming. You have, of course, to talk about the origin of life, of beings, in the water at that time, which means as soon as 4 billion years ago. And describes this beginning documented by fossils, an important notion, a demonstration to bring into the picture. Fossils very simple first, very tiny, but numerous, because they can reproduce themselves, they can have children, which was not the case before, and which is the characteristic of life. And as soon as this level of teaching, of description of the world is reached, it's important to point out the extreme diversification of life according to its environment, to explain what an environment is, to explain what an adaptation should be, to explain consequently what evolution means, to tell how admirable are the inventions of nature for the beings to survive in environments which are changing all the time, and consequently adaptation which have to change as well. Here, as you know, it is the notion of permanent changes which is essential to point out. Everything is changing all the time. The weather, good example for them. The temperature, good example for them. The continents and the ocean, but also the environment, more difficult to believe. Except if you try to give the examples of transformation of the trees according to season, transformation of flowers into fruits, of butterflies, of frogs, and a transformation of themselves from a child to an adult. But the understanding of this concept of transformism, of evolution, is essential to go further. So the key words are change, adaptation to change, which means transformation, even of the shapes. As soon as the children understood and more or less admitted the transformation of beings and the filiation of all the beings of their planet, it's easy to go from reptiles to mammals, inside mammals to primates, inside the primate to common ancestors, to chimps and men, and from these grandparents to take the human way and start by the transformation of the posture from quadrupedal to bipedal as soon as 10 million years ago in tropical Africa. The standing new posture means change in the position of the skull, the curves of the vertebral column, the shape of the pelvis, the length of the forelimb, short, the length of the hind limb, long, and consecutively the change of the brain and the change of the behavior. This is the time of the well-known Lucy. If she's not known, I can describe her, of course. She's easy to imagine because she's small, exotic, female, with an easy name for quite a lot of children, not all. She is standing, walking, and climbing with a sort of language, but not articulated speech yet. And she's also looking a bit like a friend, not completely animal, not completely human, a bit like a pet. Then come the main piece, man. But it was so well prepared that it becomes easy to bring us into the picture, descending from beings looking like Lucy. Man, the true man, is appearing 3 million years ago in tropical Africa. Why are we calling this new chap man? Because to adapt himself to a climatic change, a drought, he changed his locomotion. He's not climbing anymore. He changed his teeth because of the drought. He had less fruits and roots to eat and start to hunt and to eat meat. He changed his mind. As he remains small, the more open country is becoming more dangerous for him, and he cannot be hidden by trees and bushes anymore. So he was developing his mind to think better about only about what he could do to escape when the carnivore would come to eat him. And this is the departure of our thinking. As man had a better mind, bigger, more complicated, with more blood feeding it, he thought better, understood better life, the past and the future, more or less, made tools for using them later. Man, thanks to his new mind, becomes free to do whatever he wants, but responsible of what he's doing, even of his own freedom. According to what he will do freely, and for the first time, will have to think alone about the consequences of what he decided to do. He has a body like animal, more or less, but a brain much bigger, allowing him to think and to think in advance, to anticipate with the responsibility of his decision, of his action, and this for me is his soul. This couple, freedom, responsibility, is opening the way for cognition, curiosity, we talk about that this morning, technology, intellectuality, aesthetic, ethic, spirituality, respect of everyone, of anyone, friendship, empathy, compassion for others. And these facets are the characteristics of man. The main ideas can be summarized as follows. Man is coming from animals. He is evolving in the same way for the same reasons, but thanks to the unique development of his mind, became a special thinking being who is conscious of what he is, where he comes from, where he's going to, more or less, and conscious that he will die. there have been 100 billions of people, which means 200,000 generations in 3 million years since the very first ones. And all of them are coming from the same cradle, have the same origin, are brothers. From their cradle, they people the earth, develop tools and techniques, increase their demography, and are ready to people other planets. So you will tell me after what we heard that it is very naive for me to believe that I will be able to teach this scientific, difficult story to everyone, everywhere. Well, I'm very conscious about that. But I will tell you an anecdote which happened to me in Paris just a few days ago, at the end of last week. I was quite far from my home, so I took a taxi. And the driver was North African, was Muslim. And after a while, he said to me, Monsieur Coppens, I recognize you. You see, I want to tell Professor Hillis that I'm a star. Monsieur Coppens, I recognize you, and I'm very happy to have you in my taxi. If you agree, I will call my sons in Algeria to let them to talk to you, because they know you through TV interviews and films. He had a smartphone connected to the car, so after a few minutes, I was in contact with his two sons, Omar and Mohammed, in Algiers. And these young guys, I guess around, 18 to 20 years old, say hello to me, told me how happy, how proud they are to talk personally to me, and that they like me, they like to listen to me. I was very impressed. And then one of them said, we are listening what you usually say, it's interesting, but we don't believe you. But it makes us thinking, and we like that. Well, I was at the same time amazed and happy, actually. So I reply, thank you. I respect, of course, what you believe, and I thank you nevertheless for listening me. I will tell you something. Now, I will tell you something. I, of course, believe in my scientific approach of the Genesis. But in my own family, my grandmother, my mother's mother, Catholic, used to tell me, if you, my grandson, are descending from the apes, me, surely not. And my grandmother was at the same time wrong and right. She was wrong because I believe in the scientific way to demonstrate our descendants from the apes. And she was right because she tried to defend the dignity of man. I did my best to tell her that science and spirituality and dignity of man are not in opposition. But I don't think I have been successful. So thank you, and go on listening my talks. Even if you don't believe what I am saying, I respect what you think and what you believe, and I like you as you like me. Thank you very much.